We have Paul Joseph Watson coming up in 30 minutes because he's been following the Batman shooting out in a suburb of Denver, Colorado since it happened. And I said day one it had all the hallmarks of a provocateur, drugged-up patsy operation. Countless investigations have been done on this by mainstream media. There have been congressional hearings. There have been massive declassifications. These are real programs. And we're clearly involved in the murder of people like RFK, Robert F. Kennedy, and Sirhan Sirhan, clearly set up patsies with the situation with, of course, the leader of the Beatles, John Lennon. The cases, the examples just go on and on. The shooter of Ronald Reagan. Well, now it is in the local Denver newspapers that an inmate who was in the same jail area as the alleged shooters is saying that the reported shooter said that he was under mind control and that had been programmed. Now, I don't just go off what some inmate says. I watch what the police do, and they say, and the jailers say, oh, there was no access. There was no way this could have happened. Well, excuse me, I've got all the news articles, and I've got my team pulling them right now, where they announced that the inmates saw him gibbering and spitting and talking and were right next to him in cells for at least 3 days before he got moved. 3 days. Oh, and the police said they didn't want the giant folder of the top Pentagon psychological warfare psychiatrist connected to giant DARPA mind control programs that, oh, guess what? The so-called shooter, just so happened to be part of those programs and had government grants. That's where they recruit and set up these people. It's happened countless times. Theodore Kaczynski, the Unabomber, one of the best examples. Oh, yeah, that came out in court, and that's in the back of the L.A. Times at the time, back during the trial, that he was CIA mind control, that he'd volunteered for MKUltra back in the 60s. Theodore Kaczynski, Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber. I want to read his writings, by the way. He's definitely somebody that got off the reservation. I don't believe those attacks were mind control. He was on mind control and broke his mind control. And it is chilling to, and I use that word because I just got to chill. It happens. To know when something's staged, plus you have the media all lined up and ready, that is just one of the things I've got here. Then I call Ventura up because I forgot to get him on last Wednesday. He wanted to do weekly updates every week talking about the new show coming out for the 8 episodes. Now one of the episodes, the TSA episode's been pulled. It's not going to air. And now they've moved the show time to a later hour, then moved the day, which is a clear sign of trying to kill it, trying to kill the show. They want to be able to air it and you know, say that it aired but not have it be very popular. They held the show for 11 months. Jesse Ventura is coming on for a 30-minute update at the start of the next hour, and he'll talk about what episodes may be airing, if any. The last 3 or 4 episodes show another trip into censorship there. I meant to get to this yesterday, but now it's a big story today, and I'll give you the rest of the story on women in frontline combat and what's really behind that, and how it ties into the suicide epidemic and a lot more, and how it ties into the robot drone takeover. And then we'll also get to, 3.5 weeks later, 800 New York City apartment buildings still lack heat after Sandy, but the police have time to charge people for attacking a parrot. That's all coming up as well.
While we fight to retain our liberty, while we fight to expose globalism, we have to realize we're talking about a very powerful combination of power.
Renowned author and expert Joel Skousen breaks down the globalist plan to shut down America and stage a new world war.
In one day, America will go from day to night. And if you haven't prepared in advance, there's not enough time to prepare in 24 hours, even if you saw it that early.
Coming to the InfoWar in November is our new documentary film presentation,
Strategic relocation is a systematic way to think strategically in the future about how do I safeguard.
Joel Skousen, strategic relocation.
The freeways are going to be crowded, they're going to run out of gasoline, they're going to run out of food, and then they're going to start to go north and south of those freeways.
Joel Skousen is renowned as one of the world's foremost experts in strategic relocation and the securing of your home.
We talk about natural disasters, the health environment, we talk about pollution, the water quality. My personal experience about being in every one of these states.
Government is digging in for the organized, incremental collapse of society and world war.
The U.S. isn't building huge underground bases and bunkers because of some terrorist threat. They know that a massive nuclear attack is coming. They want that attack to come. Most people won't even be ready and won't be able to get out of town when any of these nuclear weapons fall, because there'll be absolute panic.
There is no preparedness without strategy.
What I tell people is that you do have time. Prepare wisely in advance.
This Christmas, give the gift of preparedness. Strategic Relocation, the film, with Joel Skousen and Alex Jones. Okay, I've got to try to be disciplined today because I've got a bunch of yesterday's news that is so important. I've got to get to it that I didn't get to. I've got just incredible amounts of news today that I want to try my best to break down and cover. Now, for radio listeners, we're also simulcasting video feed at InfoWarsNews.com or PrisonPlanet.tv. We'll also get you over there because we're fighting the globalist construction of a prison planet by exposing it so that humanity can resist it. And even top globalists, Zbigniew Brzezinski, Hillary Clinton, and others admit the world is awakening to the New World Order and fighting outside corporate imperial operations. But we're not fighting imperialism from the communist perspective of creating a centralized government that can be signed over to foreign banks. The bankers have been funding communism for 130 years at least. No, we're talking about true sovereignty against the mega rich who seek to collectivize our wealth to make us dependent on them. We want to rediscover worldwide the spirit of the Declaration of Independence, the finest document bearing on liberty the world has ever seen, and export it on a planetary scale, what I call 1776, worldwide. Okay. Now, if you are listening on the radio, you can simply go to Infowars.com. This is a point I've made, but I don't make it enough on air. But if you go to Infowars.com and you see the nav bar up at the top of the front page, or PrisonPlanet.com, it says breaking news. That's the RSS feed of everything we're putting on Infowars.com. And then there's also right next to it top stories. And I think I ought to link that in red instead of breaking news, because top stories is the stuff that we write or the stuff that we think is most important. Because our top stories tend to roll off because so many articles are getting posted out of featured news in just a few hours. That's one thing I like about Drudge Report. DrudgeReport.com is he'll put a lot of the news stuff down low, but stuff that's really important, keep it up top. I'm trying to think of a system to do something similar because we've got so many writers putting out so much info, they just pile whatever the new thing is on top. And sometimes it's just as important or almost as important, but a lot of times it isn't. And then it pushes down whatever the top story is. But the point is, everyone needs to go into the top story link, but also the breaking news link, because here's the type of stuff that's breaking minute to minute at PrisonPlanet.com and Infowars.com. Federal court ruling reaffirms restrictive gun laws. Boom. And that ties into the huge article yesterday where Obama intends to use regulations to ban all semi-autos. Now, I know for listeners, that isn't any new news that they're going to try this. I mean, they ship guns into Mexico to kill people to blame the Second Amendment. They'll do anything. They ran a false flag staged terror attack with Fast and Furious. But Now the NRA, now the big shooting blogs, the respected groups that are really focused on the 24/7 say that's the word out of the Violence Policy Center, the Brady campaign. Well, like they said last year, they're going to get our guns by stealth, quote, under the radar. They're coming for all the semi-autos, not just to ban manufacture or sale. You're going to turn them into them. And they want to start a civil war. The only reason this may not happen is because the police and military are not going to follow orders. Most of them aren't. They're starting to wake up. And that's why, instead of just saying, let them come and take it and getting your guns ready to shoot the first person comes to take them, why don't you go out and reach out to police and military now in the info war and work for peace while we still can? Let's try to avoid the 1776 physical end as long as we can. Yeah, the Texas Revolution started when Santa Anna came to take the guns from the Tejanos and the Texians and everybody. Same thing in 1776. That was just, 50-something years before that. And if they try it, it will be a civil war. And that is one of the false flag plans. The globalists don't care. In fact, they're happy the police and military will get killed doing this along with citizens. They'll take out their enemy at the same time. And I'm going to dovetail that in a moment, why the globalists hate the military so much, tying it into women in frontline combat in just a moment. But here I am. I just read one headline. And there's literally probably 60 on there that are new. And then I've got, and I know I say this every show, it's just so frustrating. Let me just try to control myself. This is not a act here where I can't control myself. I look at one article and then a whole data sheet opens up and then I never get to the next thing. Let me try it now. Federal court ruling reaffirms restrictive gun laws. That's in the top story subsection of Infowars.com, the most important section. Move and die. Cop labeled embarrassing by police department. We're going to play that video later, but we're having to cut out all the cuss words. Economic totalitarianism and the fiscal cliff. How they hold you hostage and then raise new taxes that don't get you out of debt. We're going to explain that. Inmate James Holmes told me he was programmed to kill by evil therapist. Watson's coming on to talk about that, but the police have now come out and said, or the jail guards, he was never around other inmates. We have literally hundreds of articles with the police giving press conferences talking about what he said to other inmates. We have you. We have you at the same jail. And we have the police saying they didn't want the 5-inch folder from the high-level Pentagon psych warfare chief. This woman had headed up Pentagon psychiatric entire facilities, who was assigned just to him, and he was in a government mind control program. This is all on record. A DARPA-funded brain-computer interface program funded by DARPA. That's where they recruit. Just like what we broke a month ago, David Knight, one of our reporters, researched and broke here on air about the EPA pumping gas in on college students who thought they were signing up for a safe test, and they didn't tell them they were doing stuff that could kill them. I've studied MK Ultra. I've studied MK Naomi. I've studied all these programs, just the declassified ones alone. They nab people in research projects because that's the cover. They can observe. They can drug different people. They can see who's more suggestible. This is where they do it. And I'm telling you, see, here's the problem. If I gave you all, I'm going to do it when Watson comes up in 15 minutes. There's no point in having him on if I just get into it now. Let's say we got a list of 20 things. There's more than that, but let's just say 20. 20 things that you check if it's a mind control operation. With Holmes, every one of them is checked. Okay? So it might be that he's a schizophrenic on his own and not mind control, but that is a very low probability. It follows every single signature. It follows every single data point, fingerprint that we expect to see. Okay? That's coming up. Man, it's incredible. Just to know how criminal these people are. I mean, they did Fast and Furious. Of course they did this. Of course they did this. Of course they did this. And the police didn't want that folder. And they said, because the defense was wanting it. And the police were like, no, we don't want that folder. Because they wanted to show that the psychiatrist knew. And the police are like, and the prosecutor, that's the psychologist, psychiatrist, patient privilege. There's no privilege when there's a bunch of dead people. That stuff gets released. Oh, but the prosecutor doesn't want it released. Red flag. On top of the 20 data points, giant red flag, giant red flag. Humongous. Flapping in your face, okay? On and on. And now they say no one ever had access, no inmates had access when they gave press conferences about how he was spitting and cussing and gibbering for days on end, not sleeping. And that inmates were annoyed by it. Oh, but no one was around him. No one was around him. I'm sorry, that's coming up. So let me try again. Federal court ruling reaffirms restrictive gun laws. Move and die. Cop labeled embarrassing by police department. Economic totalitarianism and the fiscal cliff. Inmate James Holmes told me he was programmed to kill by evil therapist. That's in mainstream Denver newspapers. Supreme Court puts TSA in precarious position over filming, saying, of course it's legal and lawful. If any taxpayer money went to the airport, then you're allowed to film in it, unless it's in a private security area where people's private information is like computers. The giant currency superstorm that is coming to the shores of America when the dollar dies. UN Climate Conference, a Trojan horse for centralized power. Explosive interview. John McAfee talks to Alex Jones. Breaking. Western-backed terrorism in Syria. Slaughter Christians in bombing. Lovely photos. I'm being sarcastic for people put out a news release, then I'm saying it's lovely. It's called dark satire. Global government now seeks total control over the internet with all the documented links. Open UN announcement of the takeover. End of free speech. Noted gun rights activist warns Obama may skirt Congress and outlaw semi-autos. Boom. Shock video. Cop protects the First Amendment. I'm going to play this today because more and more we're seeing, and I've directed my crew. I said, I want to show when the cops do the right thing, too. I don't want to just show when they do the wrong thing. I want to find when they do the right thing, and I want to put that on display. Because I don't want to just sit here and demonize police, then they get more into their own little gang culture, us against them. We need to reach out to them. Now, continuing, top globalist admits New World Order in deep trouble. Cop who ticketed peeing toddler fired. So, again, more news on that. And that's just some of what's been up there. And that's just in our top story area. Then we have the breaking news area. It's a constant news feed updated every few minutes. When we come back, women in the military in frontline combat. Why it's wrong. Straight ahead. Okay, we are back live, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. Where to begin here? Women in the military. Women in the military. This is such a complex issue on so many levels, and I like to approach it from the globalist social engineering angle, not from the way it's presented in the media. Through all of recorded history in every culture, women have not been in frontline expeditionary type military forces. They have been backup guards. They have guarded temples. They have been emergency rear guards. No one is denying that women can get into an extremist mode and hack people up and stuff. The issue is they're not as strong as men, and women tend, on average, to break down more when they're hacking people up or killing people up close. And that's just well known in all cultures, in all society. Women also are given to more infections out in the field. This morning I was listening to 590 AM, and this will take a while to go over, and then Watson's joining us. And they had a Marine call in who'd served 3 tours in Iraq, and he described sitting for 4 days as a sniper in a bomb crater in Fallujah with a periscope with people shooting at him and waking up with his partner defecating into a plastic bag 8 inches from his face. War is dehumanizing, so you don't put your women in it. And they've done studies on this. You can pull them up. If you're going to have women in combat, it needs to be female units. And then there's a different effect when the women get captured. There's a reason nobody puts women in frontline combat. There's a reason for it. Also, men tend to start having sex with the women. And then there's fighting, and it destroys unit cohesiveness. In all human civilizations, men get together, beat their spears together. The witch doctor says you're prepared to die, but you're warriors, and you're going to go to the happy hunting ground if you do die. Everybody gets fired up, the pheromones are released, and the men charge off in a column to go kill people. That just doesn't work with women. By the way, I don't hear people saying men need taxpayer-paid-for uteruses put into them so they can have babies. It's not that men are better than women or women are better than men. It's that men and women form the species. And we are two different forms of life from the same species. And there are roles with grizzly bear mammals between male and female. There are roles between male and female dolphins. There are roles between male and female sperm whales. There are roles between male and female deer. And what you're under is social engineering, not even for the equality reasons you've heard. They want women all working whether they want to or not. They want the state raising kids, and they want men dehumanized and their male attributes of rugged individualism gone, and they want women to kind of play the median role of the new enforcer because they've taken a model, a 3,000-year-old model, because it predates Rome, but it's been codified for 2,000 years, and there's handbooks republished on this from Rome, used in the transatlantic slave trade, of how to break up men and women, how to put women in the house, men in the barn, don't let men learn how to hardly talk, kill the strong males, tell the women you're going to kill all the males of their group if they don't dominate them. Hitler said, first you get the women, then you've got the children, so follow the men. 80+% of advertising targets women. Men tend to let women run the household and run things. So that role is now going to be brought into society, not to empower women, but to destroy us all. Now, I'm going to give you the rest of the story on this when we come back. And this is something I actually want to make a film on in the future and show you all the documents, show you the globalist bragging, not least amongst them Edward Bernays. We'll break that down. Okay, I'm going to finish up with women in frontline combat here in just a moment. Hey, don't worry. There's not going to be anybody in frontline combat anymore. You're going to have highly trained tech teams who, from the rear, will command hunter-killer robots. And I'm not talking about Terminator. I'm talking about the Pentagon, DARPA, since the 60s. My grandfather worked on a secret project that I was told a little bit about, but it wasn't anything special. There were all sorts of projects going on for robots to go out and do the killing. That's always been the Holy Grail, and that's where it's all going to go. But they first have to wreck the military first to get there. But the globalists won't wreck it until they're ready. They're just getting you ready for it. And it's going to be a nanny state enforcer system with men filled with estrogen submitting to women. And because they're the house slaves. Women have been the house slaves in every culture. It isn't just, you know, the archetypal racist style 1920s and 30s movies where you see the black mammy, you know, ordering the black men around. That's real, folks. That's what goes on. That's feminism. That's America. That's what we are. So we're going to be breaking that down because they want us broken apart. It's not that women are bad. It's not that the CIA leading Miss Magazine and helping found it with Gloria Steinem because they wanted to empower women. They wanted to destroy women. And look what they've done to women. They have. And all the Hollywood stars say, don't have a man in the house, you know, raise your own baby. And they sell that idea and they tell young women, you know, go out and get pregnant because they need to break down society. They need warm bodies for the giant prisons. I'm going to finish this, breaking this down in a moment. But first, if you're watching on prisonplanet.tv, you can see this. It is the new cover. Maybe we can focus that, or I guess retune those cameras. They were all tuned up just right. Now they're all off again. So I wanted to do that yesterday, but I'll just talk about it right here on air. The point is that InfoWars magazine This man wants your guns, and it is our best magazine yet. It is our 4th issue, our December issue, and you can sign up for subscriptions at prisonplanet.tv today, and also give that as a gift subscription. You can get 10 memberships for the price of one, $5.95 a month. That's $5.95 a month, and you get 10 memberships for that. That's 59 cents a month per person. Your Christmas shopping is done. Your Christmas shopping is over. Your Christmas shopping is complete, and it supports our broadcast and pays for the bandwidth. But at that level, it makes us break even. The goal is just to get the word out and have our own platform. You create one username and passcode that you can share. So create one that you can share. Don't have it be your passcode to your bank account. Create an easy-to-remember username and passcode, and then give it in a little email or a little e-card or in a hand-delivered card. Say, hey, here's your membership to InfoWarsNews.com or PrisonPlanet.tv. Hundreds of films, thousands of shows, live feed of the radio show, the well-produced nightly news, hard-hitting, 7 o'clock every night. Incredible, the heart of the resistance, all the information, PrisonPlanet.tv. You can go there. It takes about a minute and a half to sign up right there at prisonplanet.tv. You create your username passcode for yourself. Give yourself a membership. Or if you already have a membership, go get another membership. And you can share your username and passcode with 10 people who can be simultaneously logged on with that same username and passcode. So really, it's more than 10 free memberships. But if 10 people were to all use it, the 11th would be locked out. So explain to people, here is your gift membership. It's free. I got it for you. You can tell people I bought it for you. You paid 59 cents a month for it. And then they can go see the films in, well, now we're putting some up there in high def. So prisonplanet.tv. And then again, as I said, while supplies last, when you sign up for a yearly membership, you get the next issue plus any back issues we have left. So normally it's more than 12 issues delivered to your door. It's also a great gift. 12 of these delivered. And when we get the camera tuned up later, white balanced, I'll actually show you the graphics and some of the amazing artist profiles and everything that's in the new magazine. Just what a great way with the color glossy magazine. The first issue was in newsprint. It is now color glossy InfoWars magazine, available at InfoWarsStore.com. Okay, that said, ladies and gentlemen, finishing up with women in the military, and I need to do more shows on this and get some sociologists and anthropologists on the broadcast. The globalists want to use the military while destroying it because they're now openly coming out. You're going to have robot passenger planes. Those are now been launched in England today. I have that in the news. There are going to be not just robot passenger planes, but robot cars. They're already licensing them in all 50 states. Most states have signed on, or they're in the process of licensing them in all 50. Google, NSA cars. That also drive around cracking your computer and stealing your passcode and stealing all your data. That's been come out. They don't get in trouble for that total crime because they are globalist. They're above the law. And then they're going to say, oh, these are safer. In fact, they're already saying it. These cars are safer, it shows. You're not allowed to drive the car yourself. You'll be allowed to have the steering wheel and have the feeling of driving, but it will take control when it says you're not safe. In fact, Toyota is now coming out with a new Lexus that actually does that. It's now available, but they're going to, you pay for it. It's seen as a feature up front. It's like, oh, there's a feature. You run out in traffic and get run over. There's a feature. You blow your head off and, oh, it's trendy. Well, let me do that immediately. Oh, it's trendy. I'll be anorexic. Oh, it's trendy. I'll mutilate myself. Whatever is trendy, people go out and do. So people go and pay to biometrically scan to get in their car. They go out and they pay to be tracked and watched by an AI computer hooked into the police department. That's now rolling out to make sure kids don't get left in the car and burn up. I mean, you can't be trusted to have a car. You got to be watched. They admit OnStar's hooked into the NSA. So you're like, what does this have to do with the military? Well, see, we're told, hey, women deserve a shot too. They deserve to have the economy shut down, so they've got to join the military and then put on all the gear. and stomp around and kick down doors all day and serve 4, 5, or 6, or 7 tours, and then be put on amphetamines to keep them up on 3-day missions, and then, you know, kill little kids and blow up whole buildings and see people blown in half when men can hardly take it in every culture, and statistically are committing suicide at, 7 times the previous record. Let's just send our girls in because they're getting the new National Service draft lined up. That's all been fired back up. Congress is moving in that direction once things implode, and you're going to have domestic service that the White House Chief of Staff, Rahm Emanuel, called for a few years ago before he left to go to Chicago. So you've got all of this happening with a backdrop, and it's like, you know what? It's a right. Women, you get to, have all the executive jobs. And then, oh, my gosh, now you get to pay all the taxes. Oh, my gosh, now nobody's there to take care of the kids. Oh, well, don't worry. The state will. Don't worry, Mom. You deserve some time off. So does Dad. Leave your kids at school till 8 at night. That's now beginning. You go out to the bar, have a good time. We'll deliver the kids back home at 7. Hey, we're getting rid of a lot of the holidays. Hey, we're getting rid of summer vacation. You know, it's not enough to be babysat by the television, the all-seeing eye of Sauron looking at your kid all day. Two-way tracking what they watch via the TiVo and all the systems. So it's sold like the new right of women to be in frontline combat. And what are they doing? They admit police departments, fire departments, they've lowered the standards. Oh, you don't have to be able to pick up a 200-pound person. And by the way, folks, I'm pretty darn strong. Back when I was in good shape, I could bench press 330 pounds. I could squat 650 pounds. You know, I could power cling 230 pounds. I mean, that's not like power lifter, but I mean, you know, pretty strong. Okay? Let me tell you something. I've gone and over the years taken some of those courses for survival and taken courses on CPR and things like that. It's hard to pick up a 150-pound person. Okay? And picking up a 200-pound, that's hard. How about, but it doesn't matter. They just lower the standards. Just lower the standards. And, you know, the men are so hopped up on female hormones now, most of them can't even operate. I saw Austin police cadets a month ago. I shot video of it. You saw it. And a bunch of them couldn't swim. You know what they did? They didn't wash them up. They put them in life jackets. Let me give you a little news flash. If grown men can't swim, they probably were sat in front of televisions their whole life. And I'm going to bet they don't have some other skills they need. I mean, just a guess. You know, if you don't know how to swim, which any animal, you can throw any animal in and they know how to swim by instinct. That's a mental illness if somebody didn't know how to swim. I'm just going to give you a little news flash. You can take a week-old rat and drop it in water. It knows how to swim. You can take a month-old dog and drop it in water. It knows how to swim. Okay? If a full-grown man doesn't know how to swim, they don't have business doing any job that's rough and tumble. Okay, excuse me, side issue. Imagine our men are debilitated chicken necks now. Can you imagine the women? But again, that's this all, oh, yeah, you'll see, macho. They're going to get rid of combat. You're all going to be robot operators, drone operators. Men are done. It's the end of men. The globalists have announced it. They've said it. They don't want John Wayne types. They don't want, that's why they arrest you if you get in a fist fight. They don't want you spanking your kids. They're going to taser them, or they're going to put them on hardcore drugs when they're bad. You are going to be taught to not defend yourself. They teach kids when bullies beat you up, let them beat you up. They teach you when home invaders come in your house, let them rape you instead of fight back. You notice the feminists don't teach women to go out and get guns and use them. I'm for women knowing how to use knives, guns, hatchets. I'm teaching my girls how to fight. I'm going to put them all in martial arts. I'm going to teach them how to kick men in the groin. I'm going to teach them how to knock people's teeth out. I'm going to teach them if they get in a fight, punch somebody right in the throat. Somebody attacks you, attack them to kill them. Somebody assaults you, they could be trying to kill you. So you take them out. That's what I'm teaching my family. I want my women empowered. I want them strong. But see, that's not feminism. Feminism is women pumped full of estrogen on the verge of death, getting cancer when they're 25, and they're men pumped up on estrogen. See, men just get lethargic on estrogen. Women get wild-eyed and dominant. It's their testosterone. And that's what all the bisphenol A and all the chemicals are. This is the globalist sick joke. They said they do it in Brave New World. You're like, Alex, that's fiction. Oh, really? Huxley wrote A Brave New World Revisited in 1961 and said it was all real in a plan. So don't tell me. I know about eugenics. I know about the plan. I know what they've done. So they're going to break the military up and screw it all up and turn them into little ninny nannies. And they're going to be called global enforcers of the peace. That's the UN model. With a bunch of women land in their big ospreys, robots roll out, and they command them to go take out the men that aren't on the hormones. And we're going to celebrate the women and put the men down, and the men are going to be metrosexual, and that's the way things work. This is the attack on men. This is what this is all about, and it's about social engineering within the military. It's about the globalists forcing their way into it. And, I make the joke about, hey, they make taxpayers all over the country pay for sex changes for men and women because you have a right to that identity. And don't think I'm attacking your identity. I'm not even in that radar zone. You want to think I'm obsessed with it because that gives you a bigger thrill that I want to keep you from whatever. You want to go in and have surgery and have your whatever done, that's your issue. I don't need to pay for it. You understand that? But here's the issue. So I shouldn't joke and say men might start demanding uteruses. They're saying with genetic engineering, that's coming. So see, men demand to be able to have babies. Women are magical, incredible creatures we're supposed to hold up. And then there are some women that are dominant types who will out-male males in the field. That's always happened. There's always been Joan of Arc. There's always been Queen Elizabeth. There's always been those type of women out there. I quite frankly admire them. There's something pretty sexy about that. But the point is, oh yeah, I like real women. I like the fire in their eyes, the whole 9 yards. But they have the real femininity on top of it. This is an attack on men and women. This is an attack on the family. The messages you see in the culture are there to destroy that. Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.